Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. You know how some families insist they love all their kids equally? Yeah, we all know that's a lie. Today in the rLounge, it's amazing what you can get away with when no one's paying attention. Sister hijacked my birthday every year. I got my revenge by grabbing attention to her graduation party. I, 24 male, have been dealing with my parents' crap ever since childhood. They care about nothing but their image of being called the kind and generous couple who loved their adopted daughter more than their own son. Yeah, that's right. When I was 6, my parents adopted my sister, Emma, 21 female. When my parents pitched the idea of adopting a sister for me, I was excited. Having a sister seemed like a dream come true. I was lonely and got bored playing alone. My parents had jobs, so I didn't get enough time with them. I thought Emma would complete our family. Honestly, it was fun initially. I got a companion. I loved her more than anything else in the world. However, that soon changed when my parents decided to make her the center of their universe. Of course, that instilled insecurity and jealousy in me. Before judging, hear me out. Soon after her adoption, my mom quit her job so that she could focus on raising Emma. When I was born, Mom joined work almost immediately after exhausting her maternity leave. They both had so busy schedules that I was left to spend my days at grandparents or with a nanny. They couldn't afford a professional nanny, so I was left at the mercy of some teenage girls opting to babysit me for a few bucks. My babysitters would usually leave me alone while they were busy on their phones, talking, chatting with their boyfriends. Some of their boyfriends even used to sneak in at our place. It was so crazy. I used to tell on them to my parents, who would swiftly change them, but this was the overall experience. I was lonely the entire time. So having Emma in my life had a huge positive. It had flip sides too. I was suddenly expected to step up as an elder brother, but I was so happy to have her around that I didn't mind. I was 6. She was 3. My mom also left her work and was available full-time. I was glad to have Mom around. It was much later that I realized that she was only for Emma and not for me. The first friction came when my parents pitched the idea of having a joint birthday for me and Emma. So Emma was abandoned by her mom, or parents, don't know, in some public place. So the orphanage didn't have any details about her birth date, etc. But they ran all sorts of tests to check her medical conditions and everything came clean. No one knew her exact age, but based on her mental and physical development, she was given a certain age by the doctors. Since her actual birth date was unknown, my parents thought it would be a great idea to celebrate both birthdays together. Though the orphanage gave her a birth date on the day she was found by them, my parents could have stuck to that. Or they could have picked any other date in the 365 days of the year, yet they chose to hijack mine. It might sound like a small thing, but trust me, it's a big deal for a 6-year-old. It was also the start of something much bigger. I mean, birthdays were supposed to be special, a day where everything revolved around you. It was supposed to be your day, but in my case, that was far from that. Call it naivety or anything. I didn't even mind at first when my parents told me that Emma would share my birthday. They explained it to me in terms that would make any 6-year-old feel like a hero. They said, "You're giving her a family tradition." I was young and I didn't understand the depth of what was happening. The first few birthdays we shared weren't that bad. I mean, I was still getting presents, cake, and attention. But even back then, the balance started to shift. More and more, the focus was on Emma. People would come to the party and say things like, "Oh, it's so wonderful you two share a birthday," but then spend most of their time fawning over Emma. She was an adopted child with a mysterious past, and for some reason, that made her more interesting than me. By the time I was 10, I was no longer excited about my birthday. Every year, Emma's needs and wants took precedence. She got to pick the cake, the theme, and even the guest list. She could invite anyone she wanted, from the school, from her dance class, anyone she wished. But for me, I was allowed to invite only 5 friends. That's it. One year, I asked if I could invite one extra friend to the party, but my parents said the guest list was full. Her friends even had their moms accompanying them. When I raised this, I was like, they're girls. Their moms don't let them go out alone. After a while, I was annoyed and I wanted them to separate our parties. I tried to talk to my parents about how I felt, but they always had an excuse. Emma doesn't know her real birthday, they'd say, as if that made it okay to hijack mine. Or, she's had a tough start in life. She deserves something special. And what about me? Didn't I deserve to have a birthday that was about me for once? As the years passed, I internalized the idea that Emma's feelings mattered more than mine. I didn't stop feeling that hurt, but I stopped voicing it. I figured there was no point. My birthdays just became another day where I played a supporting role in Emma's spotlight. But there was one thing I had that was entirely mine, my passion for creativity. I found solace in making decorative items from junk like paper cups, newspapers, plastics, etc. I made various items like flower vases, pen holders, wall hangings, etc. That was not it. I also took online tutorials to make jewelry, trinkets, earrings, and tiaras. By the time I hit my 20s, I had turned that passion into a thriving online business. My little corner of the internet became my sanctuary. Every sale, every positive review felt like a small victory, something no one could take from me, until my family tried, of course. So here's the tricky part. I had been saving for years to open a physical store. After all the effort I put into building my online brand, I think now I'm ready for the next step. This was my dream coming to life, and I wanted to celebrate it in a big way. I planned to throw a party with friends and family to announce the launch, to finally bask in the attention that had eluded me all these years. I told my parents about it. Their initial reaction was happy, but as usual, they came up with an alternate plan eventually. Emma is about to graduate from college. My parents came up to me and said, "Let's have a combined party for your launch announcement and Emma's graduation." So they don't want me to have my moment. According to them, it'll be perfect. A double celebration. I was like, perfect for whom? Certainly not for me. I immediately pushed back. I'd spent years waiting for a moment where I could have the spotlight, and I wasn't about to let Emma's graduation steal it from me. But my parents wouldn't let it go. They said I was being selfish, and that it would be easier for everyone if we combined the events. They said, it's just one day. That's right, one day. But it was always just one day. My birthday, and it had been stolen from me every year since Emma came into our lives. I said I'm not going to share my moment of success with anyone. If they don't like it, they can skip it and throw a separate grand party for their princess. I feel a similar sting of being sidelined, but this time, I'm not going to let it slide. I'm going to have my day whether my family wants to be a part of it or not. I cannot wrap my head around this. I mean, how could my parents be so mean to me? Let's be real here, OP. You've spent years working hard to make something that's all yours, a passion that doesn't involve playing second fiddle to anyone. You've built your business, planned your launch, and you deserve the chance to celebrate that without having to share the spotlight. Stand your ground on this. You've been patient enough, and you deserve this moment. Let them throw Emma her own grand party if they want, but this is your day. Update 1. It turned out to be the perfect revenge. It wasn't something I'd planned, but they called for it. And thanks to this community, I got the idea to pull it off. Someone commented on my last post, "Your parents giving you the perfect opportunity for revenge. Trust me, no one's going to be excited for her graduation in front of your store launch." And that kind of hit me. It's true, right? I have friends and family discount options. Why would anyone care about her milestone when they can get a benefit from mine? So, I texted my parents I was game for the idea. I told them they could throw Emma's graduation party and I'd make my announcement there. I even played along, pretending I was okay with it. But deep down, I had a plan, and it was going to be epic. Meanwhile, my parents did everything to sabotage my success. They said they wanted to take the lead in organizing the party. They wanted to do this for both their children. I said, sure, why not? Everything they organized was as per Emma's choice. Even the invite they sent out had graduation day party mentioned in bold and had no mention of my store launch. It did piss me off, but I realized that it was working in my favor. My announcement would be a surprise. So I played along with my parents. The day of the party arrived, and as expected, everything was centered around Emma. My parents had rented a beautiful venue, decorated it with her school colors, and invited all her friends and professors. The speeches were all about her. Congratulations flowed, and Emma soaked up the attention like a sponge. My parents were beaming, proud of their golden child. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. I stood up with a glass of champagne. Everyone probably thought I was going to congratulate Emma again, maybe say something about how proud I was of her. But nope, this was my time. I said, I have an announcement to make. After years of hard work, I'm proud to say that I'm launching my first ever store next month. With that, I pulled the curtain off the poster I had put up at the topmost corner of the stage. The poster had the details of my store launch with a date and location. Yes, there would be a separate party on the day of the launch, or maybe the success party, but I wanted to have an announcement party to spread the word of mouth marketing. As expected, the room exploded in applause. People started asking me questions about the store, congratulating me, and within minutes, the entire party had shifted focus. Emma was forgotten. Her graduation, which had been the centerpiece of the day, was now an afterthought. I could see her sitting in the corner, staring daggers at me, but I didn't care. For once, the attention was on me, and it felt incredible. My parents tried to get everyone's attention back to Emma, but no one was in the mood to coddle the princess. Even when my parents gathered everyone for cake cutting, people were more interested in talking to me regarding their discounts. My uncles and cousins were eager to understand my business model rather than to clap for Emma. I suddenly became the star of the party. The best part was, I didn't even have to plan my revenge. They had self-served it to themselves. My parents were furious, of course. I could see the tight smiles on their faces, the barely concealed anger in their eyes, but they didn't say anything, at least not at the party. Emma disappeared after getting no attention during her champagne pop while my parents plastered their faces with fake smiles for the rest of the evening. Obviously, they cannot abandon their own party. What a pity. I'm sure they were fuming from inside, but they waited until everyone had left to confront me. After the last guest said goodbye, my mom cornered me. "How could you do that? You ruined Emma's big day." She was trembling with anger. I almost laughed. Emma's big day? What about all my big days that had been ruined for her? I replied, keeping my voice calm. I didn't ruin anything. Wasn't this supposed to be part of the plan, right? But you guys missed mentioning it in the invite. I just made an announcement about something important to me. If people were more interested in my story than Emma's graduation, that's not my fault. It wasn't a surprise for you guys. I wanted to have a separate one, but it was your idea to have a joint party, right? Then what happened now? My dad, usually the more level-headed of the two, looked like he was ready to explode. You've always been jealous of Emma, haven't you? But this was petty and cruel. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Jealous? Do you even hear yourselves? You've made every one of my birthdays about Emma for the last 20 years. I'm not jealous. I'm fed up. They tried to guilt trip me, bringing up how Emma had a rough start in life and how she needed more attention because she didn't know her real family. But I was done playing that game. I stood my ground and said, "You've catered to her every whim at my expense for years. This was my moment, and I'm not sorry for taking it." I didn't notice that Emma was listening to all this from the doorway. Suddenly, she stormed in with tears streaming down her face and snapped at me. "You always hated me, didn't you? You thought I stole your parents' love and attention, but it's not true. All I wanted was just to be a part of the family." Her words hit me hard. I mean, how could she say I hated her or I was jealous of her? I mean, I cherished her for the longest time despite being ignored by my parents. I remember that all these years that I had been pushed aside. I don't know how, but I got emotional and told her, "I don't hate you, but I'm tired of being ignored. This was never about you. It was about finally having something for myself. I wanted to have a party where I could announce my milestone. That too, our parents tried to sabotage it and make it yours. I had no choice but to find an opportunity for myself." She was in no mood to understand my point of view or even hear me out, so I backed off. I mean, I was done being the understanding one. I let it go and said, "I did what I think was right for me, and I don't owe anyone an explanation." My parents regretted having a joint party, but the ship had already sailed. They said they were very hurt and disappointed in my behavior. If this was not all, they wanted me to apologize to Emma and sponsor a vacation to ease up the stress I caused her. I was flabbergasted at their demand. Like, really? I wanted to show my middle finger at them, but I just smiled and walked out saying, I don't give an F to her feelings. You see the heights of entitlement here? She's hurt because people were more interested in knowing about my store than her graduation, but she was okay to hijack my party. Mom tried to reach out to me after that, insisting I make things right for Emma, but I couldn't care less about her. Okay, one more thing. People were asking about my equation with my parents after I grew up, and did I confront them about my childhood trauma? So guys, I did confront my parents about my feelings. Not just once, but multiple times, but it was useless. My parents just had one explanation for everything. Emma had a bad start in life, so she deserved a bit more love and cushioning. All I needed was for them to acknowledge that the hurt they caused me, or maybe an apology because we cannot go back to the past to change it, but I didn't get anything. So eventually I stopped expecting and bothering myself. I just moved out as soon as I started earning through my online store. Though we remained in touch and shared our life updates, it was all superficial. The fact they insisted on downplaying your store launch and focus on Emma's day just made your reveal even more impactful. It's no wonder the guests gravitated to you and your news. Your hard work is a huge accomplishment, and you deserve the celebration. Not only that, but the fact that your parents wanted you to apologize and fund a vacation for her? That really says it all about their priorities. You tried to give them opportunities to acknowledge your feelings, but they just couldn't see past the narrative they've built around Emma. Update 2. You would think that after the graduation party fiasco, my parents would have realized that maybe, just maybe, I was tired of playing second fiddle. But no, they somehow managed to take things to a whole new level of entitlement. When the dust had started to settle just a few weeks before the grand opening of my store, my parents came to me with another outrageous request. They suggested, no demanded, that Emma be given a manager's role at the store. Why? Because she has a college degree and doesn't want to go through a hectic process of getting interviewed. As her brother is already going to have a store, why should she work outside? I was amazed by their crazy thoughts. I was speechless. I couldn't believe they'd go to this level to give her the spotlight. I asked them, why do you think I would agree to this? Dad said, why not? She's smart. She has a college degree. She's pretty and can handle your store. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They thought beauty is what you need to manage a store. I stared at them with wide eyes and asked them sarcastically, is there anything else I should do for her? And my mom instantly replied, maybe you should let her inaugurate your store. It's a fair ask since you overshadowed her at the graduation party. My parents genuinely thought that Emma should be the one to cut the ribbon and open my store, something I had spent years building. They painted it as a way to make things even. According to them, since I had stolen her moment during the graduation party, this was their way of giving her a moment to shine again. But they wanted to turn my store opening into another event about Emma. And why? Because she is their princess daughter who wants everything to be served on a platter just because her biological parents abandoned her after birth. Yeah, you can call me insensitive, but I'm done standing in her shadow. I wasn't going to let them get away with it. I declined their ridiculous request on the spot. There was no way I was letting Emma be the star of my store opening, let alone giving her a supervisory role when she had no experience or interest in fashion. This was my business, and I wasn't going to let them hijack it. Naturally, my parents didn't take it well. They tried everything: guilt, manipulation, even threats. They told me that if I didn't let Emma inaugurate the store and hire her as a supervisor, they wouldn't attend the opening at all. My mom said, "We'll skip the party if you're going to be selfish about this." I could see the smug look on Emma's face, like she thought I'd cave in. They genuinely believed that I'd bend to their will, that I'd beg them to come and make everything about Emma again. But I didn't. I told them, "That's fine. If you feel that way, then you don't need to come. In fact, consider yourselves uninvited." The room was silent. They stared at me, expecting me to apologize, to take back my words, but I didn't. I had reached the point where I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. My store is open now. The big day happened as I expected. My parents and Emma didn't show up. They had assumed I would come crawling back, desperate for their approval, but they were wrong. I continued the launch with my friends, supporters, and some loyal online customers who had been there for me throughout my journey. The turnout was incredible. The store was packed, and the opening was a massive success. I stood at the front, cutting the ribbon and officially opening my store. I felt a sense of pride and freedom I hadn't felt in years. I had invited some of my influencer friends and acquaintances to cover my store. Please don't ask for my store name or social media post link. I want to keep this anonymous. For the last time, I was standing in the spotlight, and no one could take it away from me. Sure, my parents weren't there, but honestly, I was okay with that. This was about me and my accomplishments, and I didn't need them to validate it. My extended family and relatives also showed up, and initially, it was awkward when they asked me about my parents' absence. Then I decided to let out with the truth. I wasn't at fault. Why should I hide it? So I told them the truth that my parents boycotted the event as I refused to hire Emma and let her inaugurate the store. They said kind words. Some were genuine, some were like a mere act, but boy, do I care. I know some of them would have called my parents that evening to give them the details of the event and maybe spill some beans. Who cares? I have a lot more important stuff to deal with. It's been a few months since the store opened, and I haven't heard much from my parents. They tried to play the silent treatment game, but it doesn't bother me anymore. For so long, I let them make me feel like I was selfish for wanting my own moments, for wanting to be seen. But now, I realize that standing up for myself isn't selfish. It's necessary. I built this store from the ground up, and I did it without their help. If they can't respect that, then they don't deserve to be a part of it. I took back what was mine, my success, my moment, and most importantly, my self-worth. And it feels dang good. Their silence just shows they're trying to control you in one last way, but you've already proven that they can't manipulate your life anymore. Standing up for yourself and your hard-earned success isn't selfish. It's a testament to your resilience. Wishing you all the best, OP. What would you do in this situation? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.